Nat and Alex Wolff are here to talk about their brand new self-titled album, which they've called a sort of full circle moment in their career. They started making music together when they were kids. They got really famous as teens on this Nickelodeon show. And as you'll hear them say, one of the things that really got them through is the fact that they are brothers. You wrote your last album when you were really in close physical proximity, like you guys were quarantined together. And I know this one came about in a very different way. You were far apart. Alex, you were all the way in Greece. So I'll start with you. What was going on in your life when you started writing the music for this record?
I realized that, yeah, a few of these songs were when we were far apart. Well, this is the CBC, right?
Yeah.
Well, the CBC is like the main hub of Leonard Cohen, who's in this big poster here, and you know, the most important guy in the world to both of us. But so it kind of started, I feel like, with some of these songs I wrote while I was far away in Europe, and there was some reflection. It was kind of, I felt very far away from home, and I kind of like a little bit lost at sea. And I felt like a song, when I would write a song, was kind of like reaching out, trying to get back to life and life where we live and whatever. So I think it was a relief when then after that, Nat and I came back together and kind of started making these songs together. And it felt like coming home. And I feel like the album has a real sense of like we went off and lived these certain lives and then came together to try and process it, just the two of us together in a studio.
Nat, is that how it felt for you too?
Definitely. I felt like, you know, one of the things that was great about, you know, one of the only things that was great about the pandemic for us was that it was the first time we lived together since we were kids. And then we just started kind of speaking the same musical language again, but it was only in separating that I think I was really able to reflect on my childhood and our past, and through, you know, both of us through the course of writing and making this album and writing the songs, we had heartbreak and fell in love, and you know, a lot of times those things can be confronting. So I feel like this was our way of kind of working through it. And I feel like the album reminds me a lot of the way that when Alex and I are in a situation, any kind of social situation, we can kind of look at each other and know exactly what the other is thinking. And it's helpful, especially since he got contacts, because he used to not wear his glasses. And I would be looking at him like, can you believe what's happening here? But now he wears contacts, so I can really see him. But this album kind of feels like that, where there was it took a lot less discussion than previous music has. It was very instinctual, and it was like, you know, through all these years, it was definitely because we got to spend some time apart, it was the closest collaboration we've ever had.
I understand one of the first songs that was kind of a watershed moment that you started writing, Alex, was Backup Plan.
Yeah.
I'd love to listen to it a little bit and then talk about the song. Here we go.
I can't believe it's here again, the
It's a bit of Backup Plan. We just heard the depths of your voice there just in a tiny little snippet, and it's beautiful to hear, but it also, I think, speaks to the spirit of the song and what you're conveying in light of what you guys just said about your process and sort of going apart and coming back together again. This is a really vulnerable song, I think, to share. So Alex, tell me a little bit about where this song comes from for you.
Yeah, well, I wrote it in a hotel room in Athens, in Greece, and I was playing Leonard Cohen, and it was like an in-between period before we had switched locations, and it had been a long time. I mean, it was a long shoot, and I think that I was inspired by, obviously, the music that I was playing all the Leonard Cohen music, but I think also it was also that I was trying to get back to some kind of like rock and roll, some kind of connection to Nat and and home and everything, because I felt so lost. And I think it's cool that that was the first one, because it definitely was at that moment the most raw chorus that was just fully kind of a cry for help, just a song that's reaching out, that it's about a really bad time, but it is trying to reach out and have a chorus that feels like, okay, this is a chorus, and I'm trying to bring everybody into this feeling that I'm having, but it is not a comfortable or good feeling. And I think when I sent it to Nat, it was like, whoa, I think it's time we got to make a record, because this is a good place to start. I think that was my first song, I think, that I wrote.
Yeah,
kind of
when
like
he
thinking about the record.
when he sent it to me, I knew, you know, a little bit of the, it's an overused word, but like the depression that he was going through, and the pain that he was going through. But it's so interesting in our relationship as brothers how I could kind of feel it the deepest through the lyrics of the song. It was like easier to understand what he was going through the even, and also even through the melody. And that was you saying you're hearing the bottom of his voice. I'd never heard those notes, like it's like, I think the lowest note is a C, like a deep C on the piano. And like, you can hear it in his voice, what he's going through at the time. And I think that's beautiful, and also scary. It's scary. It was a scary place to start the album, because we knew, okay, we're going to have to be really vulnerable.
Alex, you said in the press notes for this record, we're not pretending anymore. We didn't pull any punches. Does that suggest that there was some sort of a pretending before that you were aware of, or is that something that you sort of see in retrospect now?
When I hear it back, I'm like, I really, really, really wish I didn't say that. But
sorry to repeat it back to you.
No, it's
I like it.
No, it's true on some level. I didn't mean the implication to be that we were pretending before, but also, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. This is the most like, okay, there's no distance between us and the songwriting. There's no like, okay, I'm right. Feels good. This song feels good. It's more like, this is exactly what I'm going through in this moment. Let's say it. If it doesn't apply to us in whatever 3 months when we record the album, then let's cut it. But this is the direct feeling that we're having with no pulled punches. And it's not that maybe we pretended before, but I think there is a, you have an instinct to protect yourself and try and, like, I don't know, do things that go down easier or something for people. But I think that this song is like not supposed to be necessarily super warm or super, it's supposed to just be, okay, this is exactly what I'm feeling right now.
When you're acting in something, as an actor, you can go to those really ugly, uncomfortable places, but you can have the smoke screen of that it's a character. And and there is something, more revealing about doing it in this way. And like on the some of this, before, I think earlier in making music, a lot of times it's like, oh, I can't wait to play this for people. And this was almost like, wow, this is so, there are certain songs that are that way, but there are certain songs where it's like, wow, this is even, I'm nervous to show it to people because it's exposing.
I imagine that's a good feeling in some ways.
Yeah, but it is I think it's healing.
Yeah, or satisfying as an artist, I would think.
Yeah.
I want to play another song from the record. Let's have a listen to this. Here we go.
It's the soft kissing now. It's the soft kissing now. You have all the power.
That's Soft Kissing Hour off Nat and Alex Wolff's new self-titled album. That song produced by your good friend Billie Eilish. You can also hear her vocals in there. Nat, can you paint me a picture of how that song came together?
Sort of similar to Alex, I was marooned in Australia, and I was tuning my guitar to play the song Coyote by Joni Mitchell to learn the song, and it kind of just gotten into that Hejira album, and
with all open tunings, like all these open tunings where no matter how you
really
strike,
strange open tunings, yeah. And I just started playing around in that tuning, and then I wrote the song and ended up playing it for Billy, and she was like, I want to produce that song, and I would love to sing on it. Would that be okay? I'm like, would that be okay? That would be a dream. You know, we were already supposed to go on tour together, but we didn't have any plans to make music together. And then it kind of started off as just, it ended up being, you know, we were like, we'll just make a demo of it. And it was me, Alex, and Billy in her house with a Logic setup that the three of us didn't really know how to use, and one microphone, and we didn't have a cord long enough to stretch the piano. So when Alex played the piano, I held the microphone in my hand about 20 feet away. And then we listened back to this demo, and you know, we even have Billy's dog you can hear in some of the tracks, like snoring and sleeping. And then we thought, this is actually really kind of emotional and moving. There's something so homegrown about it, and authentic, and you know, we even sent it to our mixer that we love, and he's like, do you want me to take out all these little sounds? And we said, no, leave them in. And
don't you dare.
It's gold, and it's the song is about such an intimate moment, so it paints the picture in your mind of this moment.
Yeah, suddenly you're just you're just there. There's no separation. And actually, our mixer told us a funny story about mixing Carrie and Lowell, the Sufjan Stevens album, where he spent 2 weeks taking out all of the air conditioner noise out of the entire album. And Sufjan responded, the album sounds great, but where's the air conditioner? So he had to put it all back.
That's so great.
And now when you listen to the album, I hear it, and I'm like, I never even thought of that as an air conditioner. I just thought of that as Sufjan's playing in his parents' house, you know.
The missing ingredient. I hope the air conditioner is credited, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's a big deal.
Yeah, totally. Okay, let's listen to some more music from you guys. Here we go.
I'm hanging pictures on the wall, but I wish that I could keep them all empty. The few things that I knew to be true before aren't true anymore.
That descending line is so good. It's so evocative. That's one of the newest singles from Nat and Alex Wolff, Empty House. Nat, I didn't write that song. I wish I did. I read that you wrote that song while you were trying to sort of write the way that you did when you were a kid, or recapture something, I guess, about that time. For people who don't know, you wrote your first song by the time like you were 5 years old, and you guys had the Naked Brothers Band as kids, which is both a real band and a TV show. What were you trying to recapture about the songwriting approach you had as a kid?
Well, when I was a kid, I only went off the sounds of the piano and the shapes that my hand made, you know, like, so I would just kind of move the shapes of my hands around the piano, and whatever sounded good worked. So then, you know, later in life, when I have tried to teach different musicians we've played with and stuff, songs I wrote when I'm 9, they're like, this is in 7 different keys. How am I supposed to learn this? This is, you know, and it's like, there's just chords that make no sense, but there's something that gives it a really, you know, an individuality that, you know, the more that I learned about music theory, the harder that got to go back to. And so I kind of called it like writing with my eyes closed, you know, and Empty House is like the first song that we've put out in years where I think it's in 4 different keys. And, but I really tried never to analyze it, and not even to write down the voicings and stuff, to just really keep it. And then later when we get in the studio, then we kind of got more intellectually into like, okay, how do we make a bass line that is like a counterpoint to it and things like that. But in the writing of it, I really just went off, what are the sounds, and there's something so freeing about it. And like, I could never, you know, just very, it's very, not from my head. It's just very from some kind of other thing.
The lyrics are so smart in support of that. Like, I'm thinking of the opening line, in an empty house, so many dreams for us with no furniture. This idea that before you fill a house or in this case, like a musical mind with all of these pieces of furniture or things that you can use or rely on. Before that, there's this there's an openness and an innocence to it that is also precious, you know?
Yeah, and as soon as you start feeling, I mean, you're making that beautiful connection between the two. That as soon as you start filling in, the house, as soon as you start putting things up, as soon as you start, learning more about the what a song should sound like, it's hard to get to that the purity of what your heart and soul are telling you, or is like the road to go down. And the older I get, the more I am trying to get back to the freedom creatively I had as a kid.
Alex, what do you remember about songwriting as a kid?
I had Nat, who was so prolific and so open in his writing, and I was really mostly a drummer. And then I saw my dad, who was he's an amazing jazz pianist, and watching that. So I think there is a freedom in our house, especially in the way that we write things, where it's kind of like, I remember my dad had a little tape recorder that it was actually super annoying when I was a kid, where I would be playing something and just trying to work it out, and suddenly I would just, like, a tape recorder would just come in and he'd be like, "Oh, just keep doing that, it's great." And I'd be like, "God damn it, I'm just working it out." So we that was sort of the style, though. It was a little like first thought, best thought. And I think that that was really ingrained in us because, our dad would do these shows at places like the Knickerbocker and these New York jazz staples. And I learned really early on that, like, he would do a gig and whatever he played, that's it. Like, he'll never do it that way again. And so I think that Nat and I have brought that to our songwriting. We especially, had that as kids. Then that sort of being Nat to you, like Nat said, of just people being like, I feel like people want you to be more consistent as you get older. But then you realize that there's something special to that, and you gotta. And this record was really like that's the first take of drums on Empty House, where it was just one full take and that was it. And I feel like we really tried to get back to that on this record. Yeah. Same backup plan as one vocal, the scratch vocal, one take. We did that a lot on this album, and I think it was good.
And there's so many great stories. Like, there's this amazing story about when Paul McCartney wrote "Hey Jude" and he played it for John, and he said, "Yeah, I mean, the lyrics are perfect except for that line, 'The movement you need is on your shoulder.'" He's like, "I just kind of put those words together." And John said, "That line made me cry." Like, and that's like my favorite line, and one of my favorite Paul lyrics ever.
I love it. Yeah, don't get rid of your placeholders or your air conditioner sounds or your first takes or any of that stuff. You brought up your dad, Michael Wolff, jazz pianist, band leader for the Arsenio Hall show. Your mom was an actor and a producer, and you had exposure to so much art as kids. Your dad was also, I have to ask you about this, friends with the songwriter Warren Zevon, who I love, and is, I think, a great musical inspiration to you guys. Nat, is there a memory that comes to mind when you think about Warren Zevon? Yeah,
when I was a little kid, at my 5th birthday, he got me a little kid leather jacket and said, "You're going to be a rock star." Got me a little Warren Zevon leather jacket. And then, sadly, he died when we were still really young. But he was my dad's best friend, and they made so much beautiful music together. My dad played on a bunch of his albums. Also, I don't know if we're allowed to swear, but this is the name of the song. But my dad, my dad always would say, "Oh, my shit's fucked up." Like whenever he was in a crisis. And Warren wrote that amazing song called "My Shit's Fucked Up" based on, my dad saying that. So my dad still says it all the time, and we sing it. But God, Warren Zevon,
greatest. I was just talking to someone about it last night, about Warren Zevon.
And I think those guys, a lot of the guys that are really hitting this year, like MJ Lenderman and Cameron Winter and stuff, I think they're really indebted to Warren Zevon. And I don't quite think he gets enough credit for being so funny, but then being so moving and satirical. And you listen to one song and it almost sounds like a novel. you know, and you listen to another, and it's just as simple as a, you know, Paul Simon song or something. He's just amazing.
Yeah. How did the same guy that wrote Werewolves of London write Keep Me in Your Heart for a while?
Oh,
Like, how
Keep
is
Me in
that?
Your Heart.
Two
Keep Me in Your
amazing,
Heart kills it.
amazing songs.
He was really dying of cancer, you know, at the time, and you know,
Desperados Under the Eaves.
our dad has actually been struggling with cancer for the last 10 years,
I'm
and
sorry.
he's doing, you know, he goes in and out, but he's doing so much better in recent years. And I always think of that song when I think of my dad, because of their friendship, and then also just because of, you know, that thing of, you know, living through your music, and that line in this song where it says, "I'm tied to you like the buttons on your blouse, keep me in your heart for a while." Oh my God.
There's a train leaving nightly called when all is said and done.
Keep me in your heart for a while. Oh,
We
God.
can't. It's
Ooh,
too
it's a
much.
sad one.
It's too much.
But he's also got like Excitable Boys, hilarious and great, and
Yeah.
you know, Carmelita. He's really amazing.
It's a whole range of humanity, right? Like it's the whole.
Yeah.
So you have him, Warren Zevon, predict that you're going to be famous one day, Nat, when he gifts you this leather jacket. And you do become famous. You guys became famous quite
He
young.
didn't say anything to me, but
I'm sorry.
he didn't get me a leather jacket.
Maybe he could just see that you knew. He was like, you know what? Alex doesn't need me to tell him. Do you?
Jared the leather jacket. He got me some floaties.
He said, "You're going to be a swim. You're going to be.
You're gonna be a swim. You're gonna swim."
Well, you both ended up becoming famous really young with, you know, the Naked Brothers band. Was there a moment that as younger guys you realized, like, okay, life is not the same anymore? We are famous people now.
I mean, we had a really strange experience where at our school, you know, we went to totally normal real school in New York. And at our school, all the kids would, you know, the show became huge immediately, and all the kids would be watching over the weekend. And then you would think, you know, that would make you the most popular kid at school. But I mean, it was pretty ruthless bullying about it at the school. But then outside of the school, we'd walk out and there'd be like 40 girls, you know, 5 and 6 years older than us, like screaming outside the school, to the point where we had to kind of leave that school. There was no way to kind of stay there. So it all kind of changed overnight in that way. And like, Alex, you remember you went to some basketball game and the kids like ripped your hair out of your head?
Oh, is that I went to a dance. I thought I was gonna be able to go to like a school dance, and then they had to shut the dance down because everyone was freaking out so much about me because they started ripping at my hair, and I was like, "Whoa,
That's traumatic. That sounds really upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so." I mean, I definitely thought, "God, I can't just go to a dance. I can't just go to a normal thing.
Yeah.
I can't just go to a normal thing."
So when the show ended, was it a relief in some ways, or was it?
No, I think we were really bummed, or at least me. I think we were like, we didn't. I mean, maybe it was a relief in that
The relief that I felt was that I got, for me, not that we didn't get to do the show anymore, because that was a beautiful experience, but the relief that I felt is that I grew a bunch, and I looked really different, and I stopped being, you know, like, just it stopped being so intense. Like, I think at that age, I did not. In retrospect, I really did not like being famous. And, you know, and on any of the kind of success that we've had since, it's like I've had a way. I mean, just being an adult, it's so much easier. It's a really strange experience as a kid.
And it's a unique experience, and you are both having a similar one as brothers. So I wanted to know what it's been like to brother it out, I guess, through all of that. Has it brought you closer together? Has it made certain things trickier?
I don't think it's affected our brotherhood, but I think that our brotherhood has affected the way we've been able to process being famous, because we have, you know, there's always someone else who's going through it who looks a lot like the other. So we kind of have like a very, you know, similar experience, and we were on the show together and all that thing. But it's like that never affected the brotherhood. It was always kind of the other way.
Yeah, it was so. I always felt so lucky that we had each other, because it weirdly at that age, because then it was like nothing. Then we had a tour where we were touring after the show, or then like the venue,
No one came.
no one came to the shows, and it was like it was so up and down, but it became Alex and me versus the world in a certain way, and it was like, we kind of really just decided at a young age that the important thing to us was going to be to make music together.
You've called this record, Nat and Alex Wolff, a full circle moment. What makes this a full circle moment for you guys?
That would have been a good title. Nat and Alex Wolff, full circle moment.
Well, you could have like a big circle on the cover too.
That's what we should have done.
There's still
Damn it!
time. There's no time. Next one. Next one, you'll be like, this is the fuller circle moment. That was
Even more fuller.
There you
Even
go.
more fuller circular. More circular.
Let's
No.
get even more circly.
More circly.
spherical. What's a full sphere? No, but
Yeah,
in all
full
seriousness,
Sphere.
what does make this such a full circle moment for you guys?
This is the first time that we kind of did musically, we wrote all the songs in a way that we used to work when we were kids. We almost every single song, it's like the vocal take is the like first or second take, and we played everything ourselves, like running back and forth in the studio, and then also we have songs like Whole Other Life or my song Horse, our song Horse, where we're really, at least for me, really reflecting on our youth and how that's affected us in our relationships, and I know for me, Horse was definitely a song where I was kind of dealing with the fact that I have these, for lack of a better word, like triggers that come up in my romantic relationships or even in my friendships with people that I that are attributed to things that happened when I was young, and like kind of dealing with that in a way that I never really even processed till I was in my mid-20s, and then a song like A Whole Other Life is just such a, is such a, like, I want to be able to forgive, it's like Alex saying, I want to be able to forgive you, but for things that happened then, and we've grown up so much, but it's hard. We're at the stage where, it is a process of like letting go and then being so grateful for the childhood and the life that we led. And there were so many amazing opportunities and things, but then also, admitting that there was these really strange things that happened to us and things that we weren't ready for, and how to process that. And there's nobody better to process that with my brother. And we found recently from playing the album to people that they're definitely more emotionally invested in this music than they have been in any of the other music we've made. And I think it's because we kind of went there.
That's a great place to leave it. Thank you both so much. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thanks.
You are the best
so much.
interviewer ever. You are just so calming and relaxing, and I can't wait to listen to your show.
Well, thank you. I really dug talking to you, and best of luck with the record. I'll see you guys next time for Full Sphere, the record.
Full sphere, more circular.
Even more sphere.
Even more Wolf and more circular.